Hi, I'm here today with Owen Lien. I first met Owen back in 2012 at the World Youth Team Championships, where he was playing with Kevin Dwyer on the USA 1 Under 26 team. He is now a professional bridge player and director. And recently, we both played in a speedball, which is a 12 board game on Bridge Base Online. And Owen and his partner, Drew Cavalier, am I saying that right? Had a massive score of 80.25 imps in 12 boards, which I had never seen something so high. And it was really that made me want to interview you here for the Setting Trick, Owen. So congratulations on that. I'm sure it's going to be at the top of your resume. And it's a pleasure to have you as my guest today.
Yeah, I mean, that game was insane. It wasn't even that we did anything spectacular, just our opponents kept falling over themselves. Like one of the hands, they were in 6 spades, called for 6, and they went down 4. So another hand, the guy jump over calls 4 diamonds. He was 4 triple 3.
Hadn't one of you opened a no trump?
Yeah. My partner had opened a no trump, and I invited, and now the guy comes in with 4 diamonds or 4 triple 3, and I'm like, I double. You're going down.
How many diamonds did that
3.
partner have?
Dummy came down with 3, and I had 3, and my partner had opened a no trump. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of diamonds, Dummy. Like, how do you have so many?
Yeah, I actually I took some screenshots. So I was so I had played in the same event, and I think we got third, and we had like 27 imps, and you had 80. And so I actually saved some of the screenshots from our conversation because I was asking you about it, and you said was unbelievable. And you said it like twice. You said was unbelievable. So we'll include that in the show notes. We're doing this conversation at 11 a.m. Eastern per your request, and I'm just wondering if you're playing. So today's Thursday, September 19th. Are you playing in the online NABC thing or whatever that is?
No, I'm not. I just have to work at 1, so I figured 11 o'clock would leave me a little time in between.
Got it. When you say work, is that bridge work?
Yeah.
Directing? Do you do that? I know you do that on Bridge Base some. Are you doing that on the internet or in person somewhere?
So before the pandemic, I directed regularly at my local club. But then the games got a lot smaller after the pandemic, and I started directing online during the pandemic. And honestly, directing online is a lot more convenient. You don't have a commute. You don't have to clean up. And you get to do it from the comfort of your own home. So I just continued with that. And I only direct on Bridge Base 5 days a week when I'm home. Oh, wow. If I'm off playing at a tournament, Bridge Base is great on this. I can take whatever time I need. Like, they let me do it. So, like last month I played 3 regionals last month. I took all 3 weeks off of directly online, no problem.
And you're winning some of these. I looked up your record. You're winning some bracket 1 events.
Yeah, well, it helps when you have teammates like David Granger, Billy Miller, Bobby Levin. Like, it's a real treat getting to team up with people like that.
It seems like the field, though, in these events, like just looking at the regionals you played, like I don't see a bunch of professional teams.
So the last one we went to in Irvine, there were not so many professional teams. But the week before, when we were in Santa Clara, there were a ton. Oh yeah.
But
of course, you always have at least 1 or 2 strong local teams.
Yeah.
And trust me, they're no mincemeat a lot of the time. Like, they are very capable of beating us.
I saw that you played in the Omaha regional with Warren
No,
Buffett
he
there.
wasn't. I've been to that regional 3 times now, and the only time that I saw him was the first time I went, which was in 2016. But the other 2 times have been post-pandemic, and he wasn't there. But he used to go there and team up with Bill Gates. Like, you'd walk in the room and be like, oh, there's $150 billion right there. Which was kind of cool. But, yeah, I haven't seen them the last 2 years.
Who did Buffett partner with on?
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I know. I
think he played
that's
with
right.
Hammond
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, they had Hammond on the team the year I saw them, and if I remember correctly, they were in bracket 2. Yeah,
No way. That's not possible.
I'm pretty sure.
That's not possible.
But I'm gonna look it up afterwards and find out.
Okay. So do you, when you direct on BBO, do you direct like the same games when you do this 1:00 deal?
Yeah. I mean, so you're directing at large. So any game that BBO is running, like the speedball, the 18 board games that take 2 hours, whatever. Like, and we just have a screen where the director calls, like someone clicks to call the director. There's a little pop up on the, like a side window where these all pop up, and we just click them to accept them. And any reason that the players provide is visible there in the director call. So, like, as soon when the director arrives at your table, they already know what reason you provided.
And are most of those like because somebody's logged out?
Yeah, I'd say a huge majority are East is missing, slow play, no convention card. And if people don't provide a reason, which is really not ideal, but 90% of those are players not playing or whatever. Like,
yeah,
it's only it's a real small minority of calls that are actual director calls. Like, otherwise, it's just okay. Let's get a sub, move on.
How do you get the sub?
It's super easy. On like, picture yourself on BBO at the table. You have the 4 names that are on the table. We can right click on the player that's not playing or isn't there, and this gives us a whole menu. One of the options is find substitute. And each time we click, it invites one person. So oftentimes we'll do that multiple times because that first person isn't always going to accept. We just want the first person that'll accept it. And it invites people who have registered as subs, but it does so random.
Yeah.
So it's like the director doesn't know who's getting invited. So if you get a sub as your partner and you're not happy, don't be mad with the director.
What do you do when you get like a call about cheating?
Yes. So these are not uncommon. So we often review, and it's not really up to the director to make that determination. BBO has its own ethics team to investigate these things, and we have a very easy way of forwarding the hand to them with any comments that we want to add. And then at some point, that pair does get investigated with an internal report and everything, and BBO makes their own determination. And yeah, I don't.
So is Edgar used for that, or is that separate?
Right. I don't believe Edgar is used for it. I think it's just an eyes-on, like, a human that does the investigation, writes a report, and makes their own determination. And
so if somebody says something to you, a player says something to you about somebody they thought cheated, it will go to some sort of review by BBO.
But like I said, it's all done internally. So you report an opponent because you think they're cheating, the director is going to forward the hand, and that's the last you're going to hear of it.
And same for the director too. It's not like you're,
remember, the wheels of justice grind slowly, so it's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah. That's one of my frustrations. I've filled out a fair amount of recorder forms from hands on BBO. I play a decent amount of speedballs, too many probably, but and like it would be nice. Like I think this Edgar thing is great. I mean, obviously, like it would be nice to know like what happens with people that I file recorder forms because I don't. It's like it's de-incentivizing the fact that if I fill out recorder forms, like it goes into the ether, you know, like I don't really get any response. And I feel like if I did get some response that it would be like, absolutely. Like, you know, I mean, I did get one, I filled a recorder form out for Sharon Anderson and her husband who got like, prosecuted. And that was cool. I mean, it wasn't cool, but it was just like couldn't believe that I was filling it out based on her resume.
Yeah,
you know. But the fact that they got caught was validating.
Right. The only thing I would say is, like, first of all, BBO does not share the results of their investigation with ACBL. Players are entitled to fill out an ACBL recorder form on the ACBL site for hands that occur on BBO because these are ACBL sanctioned games. But just know that the form you fill out on BBO where, you know, you go send abuse report, that does not go to ACBL. So anything you report just to BBO, it's not going to show up. Like, unless ACBL investigates them for whatever reason, they're not going to show up on the ACBL disciplinary list. You won't see them on any list. But I will say, my personal experience playing on BBO is I find myself reporting a lot fewer pairs than I was, say, 4 years ago. So it feels like the problem pairs are slowly going away.
So you know of people that have gotten like banned from BBO?
Oh yeah, like this guy that used to that plays at my local club got banned from BBO. Yeah.
Oh really?
Maybe he's. I'm not sure if he's allowed back on there or not. I don't think he's allowed to play in the ACBL games on there. And he suffered a suspension from the ACBL as well. Like, for that, for his online cheating. That's what it was. So yeah, I definitely know people who were doing it online. It's sad. This guy was a director at my club. He's represented it.
Oh,
he immigrated here, but before moving here, he had represented his country in international competition. So really, it just shows you that it could be anyone.
Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to do before having you on was look up if that was, because that was the highest score. Your 80.25 was the highest score that I had seen.
I was personally curious. Is that a record? Like, it's a record for me for sure. But
I reached out to BBO support and Diana. And Diana is the person who responded. She was very excited to hear that we were going to be having you on the podcast. She was very, she was a big supporter of yours. So they don't have like a complete record, but they had it for 2 years. They had for like 2022 and like 2019 or something. And I think there were 2 people in 2022 that scored higher than you guys. But not in the other year.
Okay. I mean, I've hit 50 before. That was a lot. And
I mean, I was surprised that wasn't a record.
I do some work with Deanna. So I definitely know who she is. I haven't met her in person yet. She was at the Toronto Nationals, I heard, but I just missed her. but we both know David Sabrin, who's like pretty much the head director on BBO. And so, yeah.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
So we, communicate a lot electronically. It's a good team over there at BBO. Yeah, it's nice working with them.
You played. Speaking of Toronto, you played with a Swedish guy. You've been playing with this guy Ulf Nilsson for some years. How did that?
Ulf had grown kind of dissatisfied with his previous partner, and so he asked a friend of mine, Will Ehlers from Florida. Well, he's in New Jersey now, but at the time I think he's in Florida. If he would become his partner. Well, Will has a full-time job of his own. He's not really interested in being full-time bridge pro. And he told Ulf he wasn't interested, but he said he should ask me. Because Will had been a captain of a junior team I was on in 2011 in Croatia, and we had played some together. And so Ulf did end up asking me, and we played our first national together in Las Vegas in 2019. Excuse me. And, we have I love playing with him. He's a lot of fun. He's a little bit crazy in the system department. I've had to change my thinking on some things just because it's like he has us playing things that nobody else plays. Like we play a 2 of a major opener as like 11 to 14 with 4 in that major and a longer minor. I mean, like you don't see anyone at the Nationals playing this. So I had to have him tell me, like, okay, so if you're making that bid, like, how do I need to be thinking about it so I can bid correctly myself? Because it's not something I'm used to playing. But it's one of my favorite bids. Like, it comes up all the time. It puts the opponents under a lot of pressure. We find our fit quickly, if we have one. And only once was it supposed to be a disaster, and the opponents dropped like 2 tricks on defense, so I went down to 1. So it's like, okay, that's fine.
Were you doubled, I guess?
I knew it was bad. I opened like 2 spades. I had 4 spades and 6 clubs. And it went pass, and my partner bid 3 clubs pass or correct. And it went double on my right. I passed, and went pass, and my partner redoubled. I had 2 hearts and a stiff dive, and I'm like, oh no. Like, I have to run from this? So I ran to 3 hearts.
Oh my god.
And somehow survived for down 1. I even had a good hand. I had like ace 4th of spades, ace king jack 6th of clubs. Yeah, gosh. It wasn't like I had some joke.
What did he have?
He had 2 spades and a stiff club. He was 5-5 in the red suits. Imagine how he felt having to bid 3 clubs pass or correct with a stiff. But hey, like, look at it. He had only 1, but I had 6 good ones. We were unlucky to run that they were actually 5-1 offsides. They were able to double us.
Were you open the same? You play the same thing, vulnerable or not?
This one was vulnerable, so it was looking really scary.
Oh my god! Yeah.
But yeah, previously when I had a partnership with Zach Breskel, we played a relay precision system, which I always loved, and that's the basis. That's basically what I play with Ulf. It's not the same one; it's a different version. Yeah. But relay precision is just a lot of fun to play. For those that don't know, a relay system is basically like where one hand just makes artificial bids to ask about their partner's shape and strength and whatever, and then at the end they place the contract. So the opponents only know about one opposing hand. If the person who asked all the questions becomes declarer, it can be a real pain to defend against this kind of system because you know nothing of declarer's hand.
What's your accident rate with that with the
Accident
relay
rate?
precision?
Uh,
Yeah, like messing up the relay. I've never played a relay
yeah.
system.
So I would say our accident rate is 0 with the relays itself.
Wow.
But there are two classes of relay systems. You can play like what I call step-based system. That's systems like Viking Club or even the kind of system that Brad and Joe play. Or there's the other class, which is called symmetric relay, which means, with any given shape, say any 5, 4, 3, 1, at some point you're going to bid 3 hearts. It's just the earlier bids you clarify what your suits are. We play a symmetric system, which makes it a lot easier. It's like, oh, I'm 5, 4, 2, 2. At some point I'm going to bid 3 diamonds. I just have to remember what the earlier bids mean. Our accident rate, well, it's Ulf's system, so he doesn't mess it up. Our accident rate with other parts of the system is also very low now, but there were back-to-back nationals where I forgot that we were playing 2 suited jump overcalls, and both of them led to disaster. And after the second one of my teammates said, "Hey, Owen, rather than taking 10 seconds after the jump overcall, why don't you take it before you make it and remember what you're playing?" I thought that was fair because one of them led to a 19 imp loss, I think, and we lost that match by 1. So that was really brutal. Like that, and that was playing Gestum. Like they opened the spade or a heart. Sorry, they opened a heart, and I just had a weak jump over call in clubs. I bid 3 clubs, but that shows spades and diamonds. So that's that. Yeah, be careful.
Was it a Swiss match?
It was a Spingold match. Yeah.
Oh my god.
We lost to a Moyles by 1. Yeah.
Wow.
So that's it was. it was brutal. But I tell you what, since then, I have never forgotten it. That was 2 years ago.
Wow.
So I feel a lot like, okay, I'm getting in the free and clear. I can be.
Who was your client for
Eric Young. Yeah, he was not very happy with that result.
I haven't seen Eric at the Nationals recently.
He hasn't really been playing. I've seen him at a couple regionals out in California recently. He played with Carlos Pellegrini in Sacramento back in May. And then in Santa Clara, just a couple weeks ago, he was playing with my aforementioned partner from Sweden, Ulf. Other than that, I haven't seen him. Since Ulf and I now team up with other people, I don't know if it's just he can't find a pair he's satisfied with teaming up with or what. But yeah.
It's expensive hiring bridge pros. I know. Oh, yeah. I know that for a fact.
It is.
Sorry. I wonder if the match that you lost to Spingold on this 19 Emperor was that was the last.
No, we played the next national in Phoenix. Yeah, like, it was more our decision to explore other opportunities than his. Yeah. Like he didn't fire us. He might have wanted to, but he didn't.
Yeah, that's man. Yeah, that's tough.
But he's an interesting fellow. He can be a great teammate, but he can also just be a real difficult one sometimes. But who's not a difficult teammate when your teammates have a disaster to lose a Spingold match by 1? Like, I wouldn't be happy.
You also won your round of 16 match in the team trials this past
year. But, wow, yeah, that was exhilarating. I was playing with Aaron Jones, and at the other table we had Josh Don, who was rotating with Artsy Bargava and Bill Bailey. And we were We were up against, I forget the captain's name, but he was playing with Michael Campbell, and they had Robinson, yes, thank you. Steve Garner was playing with David Berkowitz, and Fenn Kolesnik with Ishtelmatsi, and it was a topsy-turvy match, swings all over the place, but after 120 boards, we came out ahead by 1. Like, woo! Now the next match, please, nobody look at the round of 8 results. Don't go there. It's still, I think it's still a crime scene.
You lost to the eventual winner.
Okay, yeah, that's thank you. That makes us feel better. They won every match by a lot too, except maybe the finals. I don't remember, but I think every match leading to the finals they won by over 100.
Do you have any plans to go to Argentina for the World Championships?
No, I'm not going. I'll actually be in North Carolina for a regional there, but also I'll be visiting family because that's where I'm originally from.
Where in North Carolina are you from originally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's like really close to Charlotte. It's like great. I get to go work and go a few days early to see my mom and sister there, and then I'll stay a few days after and go visit my dad down in Augusta, Georgia. So that'll be great. I would love to go to Buenos Aires. So like I've heard amazing things about the place.
There's not a ton of people that have signed up for like the ancillary events. I looked the other day. There are only 12 pairs signed up for the open pairs. Only 3 teams for the open teams.
I mean, it's at the edge of the earth. It's a long way to go for anybody unless you're from South America. And even if you're like from Colombia, it's still like a 6 or 7 hour flight. Like, yeah, South America's big.
Yeah, I'd like to go. I've never been to South America. I was supposed to go to Colombia with you on a team.
You should. Anyone who has not been to the South American Championships game and they're in Colombia, you should definitely go. It was the best.
Yeah. How was it?
It was overall solid. Like, because when it's in Colombia, it's like not far from the U.S., so it's like. I mean, it's still not close, but a 6 hour flight as opposed to going like New York to Colombia, I think was like a 6 or 7 hour flight, but New York to Buenos Aires is like a 12 or 13 hour flight, just to put it in perspective. So it's a lot closer. And it's everything is very affordable. The food was great. The hospitality was great. And the bridge was good. Yeah. So, like, you have the best teams from South America and a couple of top teams coming from all over, really. Like, there were people there from Europe, from North America. Like, it was a blast. And the schedule is really good, too. Like, you play all your bridge basically from 1 until 6. And the rest of the day, you do what you want. So it's like wake up, go have breakfast at the pool, go play bridge, and then the drinking starts. But yeah, I mean, definitely recommend it. I am planning to go back next time around, hopefully.
Will it be in Colombia?
No, I don't think they're having it. So it's like they have the South American Open Championships, I think, are just every other year. Just sort of like they do in Europe.
Okay. Right.
So I don't think they have anything this coming year. But 2026.
And you both your parents play bridge. I've played against your dad at the Hilton Regional, and your mom plays also.
Yeah, both my parents play. My mom doesn't play as extensively as she used to. You'll mostly just find her at the local club nowadays. But my dad still goes to tournaments often. often you'll find him at the Nationals. I think he's going to be in Vegas this fall. I think my mom didn't really want me to learn bridge when I was little because she wanted me to focus on studies. But my dad, starting when I was like 7, tried to get me interested in the game, and I was just like, nope, I'm fine with my computer games. Thank you. He kept trying to find different avenues to get me interested. And finally, when I was 9, he's like, hey, guess what? You can stay up late if you learn. And back then, like, games were 1 and 7:30, so staying up late really meant like midnight. Like, when you're 9 years old, that's like,
yeah,
cool. Like, I didn't find out until later that only meant on weekends when we were at bridge tournaments. It didn't mean every day. Whatever. So that's how that got my foot in the door, got me started playing. And then a few years later, I was going into high school. I could stay up late anyway. I wasn't really keen on the game. And then I was at a sectional in Columbia, South Carolina. And someone said to me, hey, you see that other young guy over there? You should go talk to him. He just got back from an all-expense-paid trip to represent the U.S. in junior bridge in Brazil. And I've always loved to travel. And I was like, all-expense-paid? Does that mean free? Yeah. So I went over, I asked him, I said, so what do I got to do to, get on one of these teams? And he said, get better. It was John Hurd, who's originally from Charleston, South Carolina. That's why he was there. But, so that lit a fire, and there was no looking back. 2 years later, qualified for my first junior team, got to go to Bangkok. Like, all my friends who had made fun of me because I was spending my weekends with old people, I got back and it was like, oh, teacher asked, how was everyone's summer? Oh, yeah, I went to the junior bridge camp in Slovakia. Then I went to the bridge nationals in Chicago. And then I went to the junior championships in Thailand. Like, no one could top that.
Do you play the nationals with your dad back then?
No. My dad and I only ever played together at one national, and that was the last one that was in New York in 2004. But since then, I've just generally played with, when I was on the junior team, I've either been working or I was playing with my junior partner most of the time. But I still often play with friends. Like, I do love the game. Like, yes, it's my job, but I really love it. Like, I play twice a week at my club just for fun with my friends. Yeah. Like, I like to have a good time. When I'm playing on my time, I don't care about the results. I just want my partner to be nice and have fun. So, yeah. Gosh. I remember the last time I played with my dad. It's been 6-ish years. We got in a one-session Swiss at the Gatlinburg Regional. It was not planned. It just happened. But yeah, he and I were right.
Did he ask you or you ask him?
Like, we'd gotten the team I was on had gotten knocked out in the afternoon. We went back to the house that we were renting, cooked dinner, and we'd invited my dad to join us for dinner that day. And then I was like, hey, do you want to, join our team for the one-session Swiss tonight? And everyone, thought, oh, that's a great idea. Okay, yeah, let's do it. So, after we'd had a few drinks at dinner, we got a ride down to the game, and we played. We had fun. Yeah, but he and I were regular partners from I don't know, when I was 10 until I was about 14 or something. 15, 15, yeah, 15. He got me a long way in the game, yeah. He got me started. That's the biggest distance right there.
Yeah. I think I played against him in the top bracket of KO in Hilton Head. So he must be a pretty serious player.
Yeah. I'm not sure what his rank is right now. Might be around 5,000 points. I'm not sure.
Did you tell when you was there a moment when you realized that you were better than he was? Were you competitive with him that way?
Definitely. I mean, I think this is true for all pro bridge players. Like, you just have to have that competitive drive to really do what it takes to get to that level. Like, there's no other real motivation for it. But I'd say there's a moment where I realized I'd become better than him, but I can't say exactly when it was. Like, I know that in my teens I had a lot of arrogance. In fact, the other guy that mentored me a lot in bridge, Warren Roberts, he had a nickname for me, ALS, for arrogant little shit. Like, so I'm sure that I thought I was better than my dad long before I actually was.
It's also probably not completely linear too. Like, you're probably better at some things than your dad, but he was probably better than other things.
Because there's so many aspects to the game, right? Like you can ask a lot of partnerships, which one of you is the better player, and someone will say like, oh, he's better at the bidding and she's better at the play, or something like that. Like, which is true. Like, it's just true for almost all partnerships, and it's a good thing. Like, because if your partner's better than you at certain aspects of the game, you will learn from that. And vice versa, right? Like one of the best pieces of advice I ever got on how to improve is play with and against people who are better than you. Because even though, especially I know playing against people who are better than you is not necessarily pleasant for everyone. But that I asked Joe Grew when I was like 15, like, hey, what piece of advice do you have for me to improve my game? He said, whatever tournament you're at, go and find the toughest possible event to enter. You'll get your butt handed to you for a while, but it's the best way to learn. And so that's what I did. And he was exactly right. I had my ass kicked for a few years before I started figuring out, like, because it wasn't the big thing to realize isn't that the top players are playing better than you. It's that they're making fewer mistakes than you. But they don't outplay you. They just make fewer mistakes. Bridge is a game of mistakes. It's not a game you win. It's a game you don't lose. Or it's a game that you lose by making mistakes. Which, when I realized that, it really changed my whole mindset about the game. Like, oh, wow. Like, I just need to start eliminating my errors. And then it's like, okay, which parts of my games are errors and which ones aren't? So
you spoke to John Hurd at this tournament, and then you really got into it. Like, what avenues did you have back then to kind of like
for like the first couple years? Back then, the online platform that was most popular was OK Bridge. So I just went on there. Like, I'd get home from school and I'd get on OK Bridge and basically play like with random people for like the next 10 hours. Just trial and error. But I was just going to learn through sheer numbers, right? Like, because I didn't really have anyone to learn from. And then I played for a number of years with this guy from Hendersonville, North Carolina, named Sam Fritzner. He's a very nice guy. We were a good B-level partnership. Anyway, he was friends with Warren Roberts. They knew each other through work. And Warren was the best player in Western North Carolina at the time. And so Sam at some point felt like he had reached his limit. Like he wasn't going to continue improving at bridge. So for him, there was no more desire to continue playing. So,
yeah,
he made that decision, but he told Warren, "Hey, you should take this kid under your wing. He's going to be something great." So Warren did take me under his wing and took me to a lot of tournaments. He paid for everything. It was truly generous.
Wow.
Like, he gave me his knowledge, his time. And, when I didn't play well, he let me know. But, I learned, I'd say I learned more from him than anyone else. And he was quite a character. Like, we could go to a tournament and play against, say, a bunch of Polish experts, right? Polish pros. And, if we could do something to get them yelling at each other in Polish, it actually wouldn't matter to him if we ended up winning that match or not. Like, he just loves seeing them go, "Rrr!" Like, that would just make his whole day. Like, I remember for the first few years we played precision, and I was overbidding like a maniac. And at some point he's like, "Oh, and we gotta stop playing precision, because when you don't open a club, you feel like you have carte blanche to bid on whatever, because you've limited your hand, and yet you still don't have your bids." So he's like, "We're gonna play a system with like no conventions whatsoever, so that you learn to have your bids, because if you don't, you're going to get punished." And so he made me play A-Call. Like, 4-card majors, week no trump. The only convention we played over one no trump was 2 clubs of Stamen. No transfers, no forcing Stamen.
Wow.
I think we played Jacoby 2-0 just so we'd have a forcing major suit raise.
Yeah. You played 2 over 1?
No.
Did you?
No.
2 over 1.
2 over 1 could be like a 7 count. Like,
oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, the first day we played that, we entered an AX Swiss with the likes of Larry Cohen playing with Berkowitz, the Polish pros. Like, it was a strong field, and we tied for first, playing nothing. It was like, oh, maybe there is something to this. Like, and it's as crazy as the system might be, like, it might not be theoretically the best, but it's a lot of fun to play because you get to bid a lot. and you end up in a lot of interesting contracts. So it's like, oh, I better got to figure out how to play this one.
Do you remember who your teammates were for that?
One of their names is on the tip of my tongue. Gosh, no. This was 16 years ago, so yeah. I can tell you in a second if I saw their faces.
Yeah. Is this guy still alive?
No, he passed away in 2018. He had pulmonary fibrosis, and he had a double lung transplant actually right before I met him. And it's pretty remarkable how long he lived, given that, because he was told it was like 50-50 that he'd lived 5 years, and he lived 11. So, yeah. So yeah, he passed away. I think it was 2018. It was either 2017 or 2018. It's 2018 for sure. So, yeah, and we had a, like, our relationship was one where it was like, if we thought the other person was wrong, we would let them know. So it could be difficult at times, but I every now and again there'll be some hand where it's like, oh, Warren would have loved to hear about this hand, and I like have the thought of like, oh, I'll call him, and it's like, oh wait, I can't. And none of his family plays bridge, so it's not like I can. I do still have regular contact with his family. Like, they are a part of my life. I also went and worked for the guy for a number of years as a real estate appraiser. I was there for 4.5 years, I think.
Is that the person that
Yes.
Breskel worked for that?
That's right. It was great. I would have been there longer, except I ended up moving to Michigan because I'd met a girl. So, and now I've been in Michigan for, in 6 more days it'll have been exactly 9 years since I moved here. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so Zach Breskel was in Double Dummy. He's a good friend of yours, and unfortunately out of touch. So maybe he'll listen to this podcast, and we'll hear from him.
I mean, he's a very private person, but I do chat with him once in a while. Yeah.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. So.
Got it. He'll probably hate that I'm saying.
No. He and I have even discussed the possibility of playing live bridge together. But, yeah,
that'd be cool.
But it hasn't happened yet. I hope it does. Because he and I had a tremendous partnership. I loved playing with the guy. He's a phenomenal player. Yeah. And we came up with a whole system that we played together, which was a lot of fun. So... yeah, but he stepped away from bridge, and we haven't seen him since. But
besides, like, your professional engagement with bridge, both playing and directing, like, how do you and you said you play for fun at the local club. Like, how do you do you talk to other bridge players about bridge? Like what's you're in Michigan. Are you asking other people about hands that you played?
Yeah, I regularly do, like, especially hands that I find problematic. Like, there was a hand in a little 8-board online challenge match yesterday where we had to get to 5 clubs instead of 3-0, and I was looking at it, and I didn't really think there was any reasonable way to do that. But shoot, I don't know everything, so of course I call up my friends, ask them, like, do you think there's a reasonable way to get 5 clubs instead of 3-0 on this hand? And none of us could really think of a reasonable option that wasn't just some concocted thing. Because discussing hands with other players that's how you can improve. Like, you can look at a hand all you want yourself, and you might just be overlooking something that's really simple. Or maybe not simple, but that might be there. And getting someone else's eyes on it, they might see it and be able to share that with you. Like,
was this playing with a robot partner or a human partner?
So that makes it even harder. But when I told my friends about it, I did not tell them they were playing with a robot, because I so rarely play with robots that it's like, I only want to discuss, like, a practical option that you and I could have, not that I could have with the robot.
Yeah. How many people did you ask about this deal?
When I asked 3, and when all of them said it's just so normal to get to 3-0, like, and that they didn't see any way, I was like, these are 3 people that I respect very much. And so I thought, okay, I won't ask anymore. Because, like, they opened a diamond on my right, and I had, like, a balanced 19 count with king, third of diamonds, king, jack, clubs. So my majors were king, fourth of spades, and ace, king, queen, fourth of hearts. So they opened a diamond. I was too strong to overcall no trump, so I doubled. My partner bid 2 clubs. And I bid 2-0. Didn't love it with king, empty, third of diamonds, but whatever. I bid 2-0, and my partner had ace, doubleton, jack, doubleton, 2 low, and queen 7. So it's like just normal to raise to 3-0. But I thought my original thing was, well, maybe I could have cubed 2 diamonds over 2 clubs. Because really, if partner's like the queen of diamonds, I'd rather play no trump from my partner's side a lot of the time. But how am I going to feel if my partner bids 3 clubs over that? I mean, I'm not going to love it. I only have 2 clubs. No one could come up with an auction where we would get to 5 clubs rather than 3. No. Like, if I cubed 2 diamonds, my partner would probably just cubed 3 diamonds. Hey, I've got a good hand, but no good bid. Like, okay, well, I'm going to bid 3-0 over that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, no one can learn the game all on their own. Like, it's something you learn together. Like, so at the end of the day, discuss the hands with your friends, with your partner. Don't be afraid to go ask the better players at your club what you should have done on a hand that you think you should have done better on. Sometimes you'll be surprised and you'll find out that you did the normal thing. It might not have worked, but hey, and other times you'll learn something. Almost all the top players that I know, like when I was learning, I don't know, I just would go up to like Rodwell or anyone really and be like, hey, may I have a moment of your time to ask about a hand? And I don't think anyone ever said no, actually. Like, maybe, or if they did, it's because they were busy. Like, it wasn't because they didn't want to help me. So, yeah, end of the game at your club. If there's a hand you want to ask someone about, go ask the best player in the room.
Yeah, it's flattering too when you get asked. You know, like I was at my local club recently, and this guy in the bathroom was like, "How many hands do you think you mess up during a session?" And I was like, "Oh man, you know, probably like more than I would care to admit." You know, it just like showed me that he had. Like, I didn't really know that he, you know, it was cool, you know, like that he was trying to get better. Because I think that's one of the things for me when I play with somebody, like it's really hard to play with somebody who doesn't know what they're doing, but they don't have a curiosity about it. You know, they're not like interested in improving. Like as long as somebody has a curiosity about like how they could improve, then like I am so happy to talk to that person and possibly play with that person. Right. But playing with somebody that's not curious is just like, it's a non-starter.
Same here. Like I will play with the most novice person at the club if they just show an interest in improving. Like,
yeah.
Because like I think it's an excellent point. Like I hear a lot of people are afraid to go up to, you know, who they view as a top player to ask questions, and it's like, no, actually you're giving them a compliment by asking. Like,
yeah. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked Gavin Wilpert. I've got this group of friends who want to learn, and we're getting together tonight. 2 of them I know through golf. One's just a friend. One of them has played bridge before but doesn't remember it really. The other one I have no idea, and then the third one basically doesn't know cards. You know, I mean, has not really played any trick games. So what would be your format for this trio?
So that last person you mentioned is probably the biggest challenge, because it's like, if you've not played a trick-taking game before, bridge is probably not a starting point. I know that before I started learning to play bridge, I played a lot of spades. Like,
Yeah.
I might start there. I mean, you might start by explaining the concept of bridge, how any suit can be trumps, and then you have no trump. And then, like, just so they grasp the idea of trick-taking game, maybe play some spades. I know you won't have a dummy, but that's not critical. You can also play, I've heard it called chat bridge before, where it's like, well, it's exactly what you would think it is. It's like, you sit there like you're playing bridge, but you discuss things, you show each other your cards while you're going through it, because it's a learning process. It's not like these people know how to play, right? Like,
yeah,
like, the guy's there and it's his turn to bid and he has no clue what to do. What else is he supposed to do? Like, show his hand, and now all three of you could, all three of them could learn as you try to explain, like, okay, well, you would want to do this because of this. That would, if you're trying to start with bridge, I would definitely go that route. I would not go into the rules at all for the start. Like, you go into the rules of bridge, it's a non-starter for so many people just because they're convoluted. Like, you might even just not bother with bidding at first, right? Like, you like, okay, you just kind of like set a contract or something, like, like, maybe that's the way to go if you have like a hand generator. Just generate some hands, look at the boards in advance, and be like, I guess you need a dealing machine for this to work, but then you could be like, okay, on this one the contract's going to be this.
You think I should just not even bother? You think I should cancel?
No, don't cancel. God. But that's why I thought spades would be good, because, in spades you have two partnerships. You can have some bidding, and it'll help your friend grasp the idea of trick-taking game, trumps, partnership.
Is there a lot of euchre out there in Michigan?
I don't know. I'm sure there is, but I've never played it. Like,
okay, it's not it's a terrible game. I'm gonna piss you off. It's like a five card trick game. It's terrible.
Oh, I've played it once or twice, but for me, I don't know. Bridge is like the game. Like, all other card games for sure are just not as interesting to me. There are some, but like Barbu is a lot of fun. But most card games to me, I just, like, if I play them, I just view it as like I'm just kind of throwing cards, and I'm doing it because I enjoy the company of the people I'm with. Bridge is such a stimulating game that no other game really compares.
All right. How about that? I agree. I mean, it's an amazing game. It's one of my favorite things to do. That's why I play all these.
Same here. People. Like, it's like late at night. Like, I randomly get on. Like, oh, who's on? Like, let's see who I can ask.
We were actually teammates once in the
yes, right. Rising. I remember that in Denver.
Yeah, you and Zach were hot coming in. You guys finished third.
That
in the
was
Blue
such a
Ribbons.
burn to not win that. Like, we took the lead in that event in the first semifinal session, and we had the lead even with 2 rounds to go on in the final session. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
We started the final session with I think I went and calculated it. I think our lead was a board and a half, which is just a huge lead. And we had our first average session of the event, and the 2 pairs that overtook us had like 65% or better, and they, as you can figure out by the fact that they only overtook us at the very end, it was still close. If they just had like 62%, we would have won. And 65% in the blue ribbon pairs is like unbelievable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was very disappointed. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was very happy. Third is a great result, but it took me a while to realize that I was happy with that.
Did you think you'd won when it was over? Or
no, it didn't feel like we'd had our worst session of the event. Like, we knew it. And it's, even so, it's still average. Like, no.
Terrible.
I remember in that event, I did something I've only ever done it once, but it was a trick I pulled out of Zia's book, Bridge My Way. He talks about, I think they're called tiger doubles.
Oh yes.
No, not check telly. No. This is where like you try to throw the opponents off with like a psychic leap directing double or something. So I remember vividly, I had Queen Jack Doubleton, 2 low, 4 low, 5 low. I might have had a jack and a minor, but anyway, they opened a heart on my right. I went past a spade, past 2 spades, past 2 no, which was asking, past the hand but 3 spades, 4 and a max, past 4 no key card, past 5 hearts. And now I was thinking, well, I don't want my partner to lead either minor. Like, I have nothing there. But maybe I can throw them off by making them think the hearts are really offsides, right? So, and they've clearly established spades as their fit. So I didn't, and they're very unlikely to now stop off and play in 5 hearts doubled, especially if they think I have like 5 good hearts, right? So I doubled, and now the guy on my left had 2 low hearts. He knew they had all the key cards except the queen of spades, but now he thought, oh, I am a heart loser, and I have to worry about the queen of spades. So he signs off in 5 spades. Okay, so he gets a heart lead, and it was a dream. Dummy had ace queen of hearts. So he didn't finesse. He went up with the ace. He went up with the ace, and now figuring that I had all the hearts, he played, like, he had king 10-9 fifth of spades opposite ace fourth or something. So he played low, and when he saw an honor come from my hand, he won the king and finessed into me because he figured I was shorter in spades. And then I let a heart back to my partner's king, making 5. And for an around the world top. Like, it's the only time I've done it. And it worked so well, I'm just like afraid to ever do it again. Because it's like, wow, that was fun.
Did you tell Zia about it?
I think I did a couple of years ago. I was like, I did it once. But my hand was so perfect for it, because it's like so often you have a hand where it's like, well, I could do this, but then you have something like a queen and a minor where it's like, if you have the queen and a minor, you don't mind if your partner leads away from something there, you might produce something. Here I had nothing in the minors. Like, it was like, okay, let's try this out.
What was the expression on the how did the person react when you won won your spade and now play a
low heart back? Yeah. Oh my god. I think he went something like what just happened? Oh, Oh, that's one of my.
What session was it in?
It was in one of the semifinal sessions.
So no screens, probably.
No. What?
I don't think there's screens in the semifinals.
I don't think there were at the time. There were the cameras were set up because I remember the camera being there. But there were no screens. But I do remember. I think it was in the second semifinal session because we were north-south. You'd have to go find the hand. I would have been sitting north.
So there's a part of Double Dummy, like the climax of Double Dummy is the U.S. team like coming back in the final quarter against Israel to win the semifinal match.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? And like, so they've had this huge set, and Zach and Adam Grossack are coming out to compare with Adam Kaplan and Zach Breskel. And they come out of the door, and you say something.
I said, what'd you do on the last board?
What'd you do on the last board? Oh, and Zach brushes you off. He's like, Jory Article.
Boo.
Oh, yeah. So anybody who's just listening to this, they can see Owen. They can see Owen in that climactic scene of Double Dummy. That was the most amazing thing, man. Just like having a film crew there and having them come back in that match. Like what a that was
they have that memory forever in their on record.
Yeah, indeed. You played with Kevin Dwyer that tournament. I looked you guys up. You guys had a great bubble.
Yeah. He and I had a very good partnership together for about 7 years. No, more. 7 or 8 years, yeah. Oh yeah, we played together actually again. We played in the we teamed up with you. Miggery and I teamed up with you guys. Oh, that's right. Yes.
In Providence. With you
that's right.
Kevin. Yeah, we did pretty well. Like, we were in the top 20.
And then we went and won a knockout. I remember that. Yeah.
Did we? Did we play the Risinger together?
Yeah,
also.
I think so.
Huh. We didn't qualify for day 2 of the Risinger. I remember that.
Still something I've never achieved.
Oh, not even day 2.
Well, I've only entered the Risinger like 2 or 3 times because so often, my team wants to play the Swiss. It's an easier format. The Risinger is, it's an amazing event. It's brutal. Like, I remember the first time I played in it. It was on a team with you. Just round after round, world champion after world champion, after world silver medalist, after like everyone was like just there, and they were going to bash your head in because they were and match point or board a match points on a one top. It is just so brutal.
It's a great format.
Yeah, but it's definitely a different version of bridge.
Are you playing Risinger this year? Do you know?
I'm playing the Swiss.
So no Zagora?
No, not teaming up with Dan this fall. No, we're teaming up with Sam Dinkin, Jacob Freeman, Luke Verhees, and Jason Feldman.
Who's playing with Sam?
Yeah,
Jacob Freeman.
We had a great time teaming up with Zagorn. Like, it was a lot of fun. I love both Peter and Dan. They're fun guys. In our last match in the Spingold, we lost in the round of 16 to Zimmerman. We kind of dug ourselves a hole in the third quarter. We were stuck 43 or 44 with a set to go. And with 5 boards to go, we were only down 10. Like, we almost did it. There was a board I made a play that I'll probably never make again. But so I opened a gambling 3-0. I had ace, king, queen, 10, 7th of diamonds, and we all pass, and they lead king of hearts, I think. And dummy had 2 aces and a stiff diamond, and I'm just sitting here thinking about the state of the match. I'm just like, I did. And Brink on my right, such a great guy. As soon, of course, I thought for a long time at trick 1 before I made the play. He's like, as soon as I put the 10 of diamonds on the table, he didn't make me wait for the satisfaction. He put the other 3, including the jack, on the table. Like, so.
You mean he was in front of them,
and as soon as I hooked, he showed me the rest of them. Like, well done. Like, yeah.
Oh wow, that's cool.
And
man.
That it was just like, oh, and then I got annoyed because I looked at the view graph record later on, and the view graph operator just had me playing low to the ace and then claiming. And I'm fortunate. I contacted BBO. I'm like, can you get this fixed? And they did get it fixed, so that made me happy. But it's like, Brink was such a great sportsman. Like, when I made that play, he's like, he even pumped his fist and said, "This is what bridge is about." Like, yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
And, I figured at the time, like, if things were going well, we were still down 25 or 30. And there was this board and only 5 more against one of the best teams in the world. Like, it just felt like this was not a team that was going to be giving up imps. So I thought, okay, I know it's a big position, but I feel like if diamonds are 3-2, we're just not meant to win this match. So I went to the big play, and boom.
Steve Landon talked about doing that once. He had opened a gambling 3. Now I played against him in a regional, and he talked about how he did that once, and it was right.
Amazing. Like, I can't imagine ever making that play again, honestly. Because really, like, if you're making that play, it means you're in a bad position. I don't want to put myself in a bad position in the future.
Yeah, that's like going back to John Hurd. He actually texted me while we were having this conversation because I'd asked him to be on the show. So it's
that's funny.
You're talking about him, and he had texted me like a little bit before you said it. But there was a hand I remember playing against him, and he I had a queen guess, and I played him for I played his partner for it. And now he gives me the slow roll, and I'm like we don't slow roll queens around here, man.
It reminds me of this hand. I was playing at a sectional, and we get to 7-0 where dummy had shown a solid suit. Okay, and they didn't lead the suit, so dummy actually had ace, king, jack, 10, 8. I thought they had shown the queen, they didn't have it, and I thought kind of weird, like, that this person over here didn't lead make the safe lead. So I won the lead, all in, low to the jack, and trick 2 in the gun. My right said, "Jack?" And then he played low. And I knew he was not happy that I'd made this play, and it was queen 3rd. She should have made the lead. My opponent should have made the lead anyway of that suit, because dummy had shown a solid suit.
Right.
How is this not safe?
That's
yeah.
What did I wanted to ask you something else. I can't remember what it was now. Shoot.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. I'm out. I'm fresh out.
Okay.
All right, man.
This is a lot of fun. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, man, cool. It's yeah.
Yeah.
It was an easy ask.
Well, and if you remember the question, I can pop back on and we can do it.
All right. Sounds good, man. Good to see you. I'll be in touch when we got this thing coming out, and take a look.
Yeah,
at
please
it
do.
if you want.